everyone, this is Miss Anne, and welcome to our final Fairy Tale Friday. Today, we are going to be reading The Princess and the Pea. I'm going to be reading from our classic fairy tale book, but also from a parody, kind of poking fun and making fun of The Princess and the Pea. If you have never heard the story, it's a classic, very short story, and I'll read it in a moment, about what makes a princess, and the belief that a princess is very delicate, very refined, and that she can feel a pea, yes, I mean the green little plant, through a variety of different mattresses and beds, and whether or not makes her the right kind of princess. So the version I'm reading is a Danish translation from Hans Christian Andersen. So it does change a few minor details from the original Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale in that it's not just one pea in this version, it's three. And I was doing some research and I thought that this was interesting. This was an oral tradition. Hans Christian Andersen wrote the story down, but he had heard it as a child, is what I was led to believe based on what I read about the story. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we will start with Once Upon a Time. There lived, once upon a time, a prince, and he wished to marry a princess. But then she must be really and truly a princess. So he traveled all over the whole world to find one, but there was always something or other to prevent his being successful. Princesses he found in plenty, but he never could make out if they were real princesses. For sometimes one thing and sometimes another appeared to him not quite right about the ladies. So at last he returned home quite cast down, for he wanted so very much to have a very real princess for a wife. One evening, a dreadful storm was gathering. It thundered and lightened, and the rain poured down from the heavens in torrents. It was, too, as dark as pitch. Suddenly, a loud knocking was heard at the town gates, and the old king, the prince's father, went out himself to see who was there. It was a princess that stood at the gate, but, Lord bless me, what a figure she was from the rain! The water ran down from her hair, and her dress was dripping wet and stuck close to her body. She said she was a real princess. We'll soon see that, said the old queen dowager. However, she said not a word, but went into the bedroom, took out all the bedding, and laid 3 small peas on the bottom of the bedstead. Then she took, first, 20 mattresses and laid them one upon the other on the 3 peas, and then she took 20 feather beds, more, and put these again on top of the mattresses. This was the bed the princess was to sleep in. The next morning she asked her if she had a good night's sleep. Oh no, a horrid night, said the princess. I was hardly able to close my eyes the whole night. Heaven knows what was in my bed, but there was something hard under me, and my whole body is black and blue with bruises. I can't tell you what I've suffered. Then they knew that the lady they had lodged was a real princess, since she had felt the 3 small peas through 20 mattresses and 20 feather beds, for it was quite impossible for anyone but a true princess to be so tender. So the prince married her, for he was now convinced that he had a real princess for his wife. The 3 peas were deposited in the museum, where they are still to be seen, that is to say, if they have not been lost. Now was that not a lady of exquisite feeling? So that is the classic version, as you can see. Now I'm going to talk to you guys about a parody version, who took some of the themes in here and kind of twisted them in a way that was kind of funny and more akin to our sensibilities of what we might think of when reading that story. So this is from The Stinky Trees Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales by John Sitka and Lane Smith. We've read other adaptations of other ones like The Frog Prince, and so you guys kind of know where this might be going. And so I hope that you guys might have a discussion with family about the differences between, this parody version versus the original that I just read for you. So this is called The Princess and the Bowling Ball. It's a little different. Here we go. Once upon a time there was a prince, and this prince's dad and mom, the king and queen, somehow got it into their royal heads that no princess would be good enough for their boy unless she could feel a pea through 100 mattresses. So it should come as no surprise that the prince had a very hard time finding a princess. Every time he met a nice girl, his mom and dad would pile 100 mattresses on top of a pea and then invite her to sleep over. When the princess came down for breakfast, the queen would ask, "How did you sleep, dear?" And the princess would politely say, "Fine, thank you," and the king would show her the door. Now this went on for 3 years, and of course nobody ever felt the pea under 100 mattresses. Then one day, the prince met the girl of his dreams. He decided he better do something about it. That night, before the princess went to bed, the prince slipped his bowling ball under 100 mattresses. When the princess came down for breakfast the next morning, the queen asked, "How did you sleep, dear?" "This might sound odd," said the princess, "but I think you need another mattress. I feel like I was sleeping on a lump as big as a bowling ball." The king and queen were satisfied. The prince and princess were married, and everyone lived happily, though maybe not completely honestly, ever after. The end. So we saw some differences in this one. Obviously, we had in the original 20 feather beds and 20 mattresses. This version, 100 mattresses. So there's an element of not just parody, but exaggeration to kind of prove the silliness of it is kind of what I took for it. So they exaggerated, they made it a little bit more. 100 beds and one single pea, 3 peas in the original with the 20 feather beds and the 20 mattresses. There was a difference here as well. We were talking about how in the original the prince was also on board with this plan, but in Princess and the Bowling Ball maybe not so much. It was his king and queen that wanted somebody who could feel, a pea through that many mattresses. So what other things did you notice? Differences, similarities. It's a great way to discuss, the actual story and to kind of analyze it a little bit. Alright, you guys, we are done with our Fairy Tale Fridays. We hope that you guys enjoyed this series this summer. We will be back with a new series, or rather an old one that we were doing back in May, called Monday Book Tasting in September. That is where we're going to be reading the first 2 chapters of a 2019 or 2020 book. We'll read the first 2 chapters roughly, and then I'll offer read-alikes so that you guys can get a taste of that book, but also, if you've already read it, some other read-alikes that you can dive into if you are looking for some good reads. We hope to see you guys then, and we hope to see you very soon at our library. Take care, everyone. Bye!